The O Cannabis Conference and Expo returns to Toronto June 1st through the 3rd, and there's still some good booth locations available. This exciting event is free for cannabis retailers and will feature Tommy Chong receiving a Lifetime Achievement Award at the O Cannabis Industry Awards. For more information about exhibiting or to register to attend, go to ocannabis.com. That's OCANNABIZ.com.
Got a good podcast today. It was one of the first times we have gone on site in about a year since the pandemic. We got to visit one of the first commercial cylindrical joint rolling machines out there from RollPros. It's called the Blackbird. Went down there, Vancouver, Washington, near Portland, Oregon, to go and see that. And it's a really cool machine. Something I've been looking at for like the last 5 years. So you can see here there's a description of blunt machines, cone, pre-roll. Or cylindrical. So cylindrical has got a lot better of a draw. You'll see that in the interview. But keeping track of all of these companies, it's not cheap, right? 300,000, around there for one of these machines, but definitely worth it at the commercial level. Not a shake weight system. This is something that is probably one of the best machines I've seen, hands down. This is definitely the best machine I've seen, hands down. So definitely interested and excited about this machine. I hope you guys are as well. Let me know what you think. Sorry about the audio. Just heads up, I wasn't paying attention. A little bit out of practice. I guess I knocked my mic off within like the first 5 seconds. So you guys are going to have to deal with that. I apologize for the audio, but I think that the information that you're going to get from this is definitely worth it if you're into automation and joint rolling. So enjoy.
Welcome back to The Talking Hedge. I'm Josh Kincaid, capital markets analyst and host of your Cannabis Business Podcast. Today we are on set here. We got Kyle Laux. He's an inventor and founder of RollPros. Kyle, thanks for being on Talking Hedge.
Hey, thanks for coming down. Glad to have you here.
So in case the pile of joints here did not give it away, Kyle has made a cylindrical automated joint rolling machine. This is not a shake weight table. This is not cones. This is not a gimmick. This is actual product that I'm really excited about, of which we'll get into in a moment. But first off, Kyle, tell us how you got into the industry. What inspired you? How did you get here? What is RollPros? All of that good stuff.
Yeah, so I guess about 4 years ago, I saw the cannabis industry emerging, and it's just going to be fraught with automation opportunities, and that's really my background is in automation, and I did a little bit of printer design. So I saw a great opportunity to use my skills and offer a better product for this industry. When I first saw the knockbox, and how it's doing its thing, it just didn't seem like the right way, to create a joint, because I knew how to roll a joint. So that's what really fueled my fire to get back to the roots and kind of create a quality joint. The whole automation thing really was just a bonus, and saving people time and money was really just that was a fallout of trying to create the best smoking joint.
And the world's first commercially automated joint rolling machine, as far as I'm concerned. So unpacking some of the benefits to this and why you would want to create an automated joint rolling solution. Everyone's familiar with like the zigzag or the rollers, right? That's the Lieberman over rolling style or technique. And so you're able to kind of put your cannabis in there with a crutch or filter if you're savvy enough, and then roll that. So for people who don't know how to roll joints, this thing is a perfect thing. Commercially available. Rolls how many a minute?
So it rolls 750 an hour, just about 2 every 9.5 seconds. And yeah, it uses a Lieberman style. I call it the apron style of rolling. But I automated it so you've got like a really nice feel of the tension that you're putting on that belt. And that's really what kind of sets it apart from the Lieberman and the manual machines.
But conceptually the same kind of situation where you're putting material in there and then you're rolling that, putting your paper in, which uses a bobbin system, not an individual piece of paper. So yeah, benefits obviously are that you're able to make what everyone's used to rolling those joints in their house or whatever, and making that at a commercial scale. So ideally, this would be something that somebody who wants a better draw. What they're used to, however, is a cone. Can you kind of go into the difference on with that shape weight table that we mentioned with the knockbox, just kind of putting cannabis in there, and then with shaking, that's what piles that in there. So the weight is based on volume versus, do you have like a check weight system or?
Yeah, so I have a high precision scale that weighs out the flour just before it tips into the belt that you roll it. So its accuracy is up to, a hundredth of a gram. And so yeah, that's the main way to get consistency, is you gotta weigh it. The volumetric, as all of the producers know now, it's not consistent. One flower to the next has extreme differences in density. And yeah, the knockbox, that style, you're reliant on gravity. So you're using gravity to pack this, this cylindrical shape. And in theory, then your top flower will never get any kind of compaction. And, as you know, from being a joint roller, you need that compaction in order to have it burn right. Otherwise, you're just going to get runs that go all around it, or it's going to fall out. And so, my machine is totally not reliant on gravity or the physics of your grind size. It actually physically takes the weed and compresses it, like in the Lieberman style. So you're mechanically getting that compression, and it's even, all the way down the smoke, because you're compressing it this way, not like this. So if you compress like this, you're gonna get, variable compaction as well. So it really is. I think it's the only way to get a nice compaction and density in your joint all the way through.
A lot of people like cones, and they're a novelty, and here's why. This is why this is going to be the future of cannabis joints. Tobacco, we'll use that as an example, whether it's cigarettes or blunts or cigars. They have a cylindrical style because it has the best draw. So cones don't have a good draw. It's a novelty. Somebody wants to pack in a lot at the very tip. But like you mentioned with the canoeing, burning down one side, it's easy if a cone isn't packed properly to have a crease down the cone. So where the two pieces of paper meet, if not exactly perfect, if there's a little bit of a crunch or anything in the paper, that is going to rip down that entire canoe. And then if you infuse it, it's actually a liability. I've actually lit a pre-roll and had it burn all the way up to my beard and almost light my face on fire. So not only is it not ideal for the consumer experience, and now experience is something that's either a restaurant or a pre-roll. People go back for the experience. The optimum draw is cylindrical. That's a fact. Tobacco will tell you that all day long, that the milligrams per minute that you draw on are ideal on this shape. The other thing too is with the crutch, like you mentioned, if it's not packed properly, even with tampers, it doesn't do a good enough job. So we were on the car ride down talking about, hash wrap joints and how they clog, or just a regular pre-roll that clogs at the base because it's not packed properly. With your style, with the apron style or the Lieberman overrolling technique, it's compacting all of that all the way through, including the tip with this crutch, making it different than pre-rolls in more than one way, and optimizing the experience all the way through. So have you had the same feedback, or people telling you that this feels like a cigar, that it's clogged, that it doesn't have the massive airflow that they're used to? What's some of the feedback, good or bad, that you've been receiving?
So it's got very positive feedback as far as its smokability, and it just burns nice and even all the way through. You can put it out, relight it. It doesn't have any issues with that. The downside feedback is the open tip, and that's I have heard that before, and that was a design consideration that I made very early on, where I thought that exposing the flower, it's easier to light, so it's just like a cigarette, right? It's easy to light. You light that whole plane instantly instead of igniting the paper first, and it also has an aromatic experience. So if you close the tip on a joint and then you open a tube, you don't get that full experience of opening a fresh pack of cigarettes or opening a fresh pack of joints. That said, though, with how I'm cutting the tip, so I roll the whole joint and then I cut the tip, and that creates really nice radial compaction all the way up to the tip, and so you can see nothing falls out. It's actually it's actually well managed. So that's like the one thing that I think is going to be just going to take educating the market on. Yeah, this is something new, this is something different, but it's better. You just gotta try it for yourself.
So people are used to either the folded or the twist tops. If they're tobacco smokers, they're used to open tops, so they'll figure it out eventually. But while we play the video of the RollPro rolling these in the background, walk us through that process. After we've ground the hemp and or cannabis and put it in the machine, walk us through as we watch this video on how it works.
So you mentioned grind size, and I wanted to hit on that real quick. So the machine, because it does, it drops it into a belt and rolls it. The smallest opening that I have on the machine is probably 1 inch by 4 inch. So as opposed to a cone filling machine, I'm not limited to a diameter in order to fit the grind size into. So you're able to explore different grind sizes, which is I'm really intrigued by it because you can go with like a fluffier grind and then tighten it down more, and really just explore like kind of the best ways to get a premium smoke out of your flower. And then to take you through the machine, it's so you load it in the hopper. There's 2 vibe trays. So the first vibe tray takes it out of the hopper, and there's I call it the dynamic rake, which it just keeps it so there's a nice even flow of weed going down the waterfall, I call it. So it's like a weed waterfall. The second tray picks it up and spreads it out a little bit, so that's what gives you the precision on the scale, which is the next step. So there's a little tray that you fill on, and then it's pretty smart. It's got like a artificial intelligence in it that it'll tell it when to slow down. So for the last little bit, it just like is barely dropping little crumbles of weed onto it. Once it reaches that check weight, it drops it down onto the belt. On the belt is where you've got the crutch tubes. So that's the white tube coming out the front. So that's a continuous feed of crutches that feeds it into the side of that little divot in your belt. And then the platen starts moving, and you pinch the belt like the Lieberman style, and then you start rolling, and you tighten that belt to the user's desired tension. It's just a setting on the LCD, and then once it gets going, there's a piece of paper that's already on the platen that's been placed there, and it just gets wrapped up, gets wrapped around the weed, and then it resets the platen, and during that reset is when it cuts the tip, and it ejects the tube onto the bucket. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
And to highlight, or just kind of go back on the grind, for those listening in Spain or India, we use crutch and filter interchangeably. But with the importance of the grind, if you put cannabis or hemp in a coffee grinder and you have it too fine, you're going to have issues. There's not enough air in there to burn evenly. So you're going to have an uneven burn and you're going to have a lot of issues. If on the opposite side, if you don't grind it down fine enough, then you're going to have issues where certain parts burn too long and other parts burn more rapidly. So to have a nice even grind, I think one of the best grinders are actually the metal tri-level grinders. So you have a grinder and then the teeth catch basin at the bottom. That tooth, where that tooth meets for that grind is the optimum grind. If you happen to have anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 laying around, the Pulverset 19 from Fritz, yeah. Fritz is a really good grinder. Pulverset 19 is commercial. You can change that grind to whatever cultivar you have and whatever you're trying to achieve. And actually, if you're in extracts too, it can double your yield utilizing that grind. So it's worth it. You'll get your money back in a heartbeat. And I really think that all of the thought and everything that goes in here is going to make this an optimum product. There's cylindrical joints in the market, proprietary technology, but they use a grind that is way too powdery. They also have a filter that has a hole that's too big. So if your flow is too much, you're reducing that experience and then burning that flower too fast. So it's all about the grind. It's all about the filter. It's all about the love and the package and everything together. So it's really exciting to finally see something like this that looks like a complete package, ready, turnkey to put together. But it sounds like you still got some improvements or things that you want to improve upon. It doesn't have an automated grinder. That could be an option. Obviously, you just slap a Fritz on there, a Pulverset 19. On the back end, do you have any packaging that could really turn this into a fully automated scenario where it puts the finished pre-roll, finished joint in the package and seals that automatically?
I'm in the works of it, and I like to think I have a head up on it, on the competition, because I'm not cone shaped. So that's a hard part about packaging anything with that third dimension. And it's in the works. I think the next upgrades will probably be a packaging machine, because they come off the machine in a very controlled manner. So I think grabbing them and then getting them prepared to go into a package it'll be relatively easy, as compared to what the rest of the machine took. And then when you're talking about filters and crutches, one of my main goals with this machine was to allow and give the customer the ability to customize their own product. So if you do want to use a cellulose type filter or something with a hole, if that's like part of your brand, the machine can take that and it takes a giant bobbin of paper. So this is one bobbin, does about 40,000 joints. And you can get a roll of paper in just about every flavor you can imagine out there, with hemp, sage, mint you were just mentioning earlier. So yeah, it's really, I wanted to give the customer the flexibility to create whatever they want with it, really.
How flexible is it? Let's say that Marshawn Lynch wants to make his blunts up here for you with his diamond medley or whatever he's doing. Are you able to utilize Dr. Green Thumb's glass crutch and the next star's cannabis blunt? Are you able to do different sizes and different shapes? I know right now you've just got this one model. What's the future of RollPros? Is it going to be a blunt manufacturer? How far have you been able to kind of look past the immediacy of this machine?
Yeah, so definitely different sizes. So right now it's aimed at around the 0.5 gram size. So 1 gram size is going to be on the market probably like midsummer. Smaller sizes too, probably around the same time. And then, I've had a couple people talk about the glass tips, and I've got some of that investigation going on right now. And so I foresee that as being an option in the future too. And the hemp paper, so all my testing I've done with the lightest paper I can find, because that's going to be the hardest to manage. Anytime you have like a little bit extra stiffness in your paper, it helps. That said, I haven't tested with hemp paper yet, or like what do they call that? Like hemp blunt paper, or the thicker stuff. Haven't tested with that yet, but I foresee it should work.
And they have the palm.
Yeah.
That's just more of a filling technique and not the rolling, so it's different.
Yeah. And have you seen the palm crutches? They have some pretty big, they're like husk crutches.
Yeah, I don't like the sponge though, because if you have something that's really gooey and it comes in there and you smoke it halfway, come back, you can't relight it. So I have to take my toker poker and slam a new hole into it to redraw that, because it's literally clogged that filter. So.
Yeah, and I totally see, I'm using these off the shelf crutches, and I see that another area that I can explore, get some innovation in, creating a crutch, that has the balance, that will slow down the smoke enough that it's a nice even draw and a nice cool smoke, but also not clog up. The possibilities are endless in this market,
They are. So let me throw a couple more at you.
Okay.
So I'm making fun of Marshawn Lynch and his diamond infused joints, but in reality, people want the experience. So the percentage of THC or CBD is really just how fast you get there, whereas terpenes are the direction people are actually wanting to go. So what about the future of terpene papers and or infused products? If it's hash, keef, concentrate, whatever, is there an injection method or style that you've dreamt about already where we can maybe look forward to in 2023 or beyond, where there is terpene infused paper with infused joints? Is that an opportunity?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, I think, I've talked to a couple of CBD farmers, and they want to get those extra terpenes in there. And one of the easy low-hanging fruit is you just fill, my water basin, which wets the gum line. You could fill it with some kind of like a, terpene solution, as long as it's like water soluble. And that would give you a nice little strip of terpenes on the edge of it. More forward thinking, I could see definitely like a post-process where it ejects, and then maybe it runs it across, some kind of like a line of, like some kind of like a drip line of extracts or something like that. I have ran infused product through it, so kind of like a stress test, just take the gooeyest, nastiest, cannabis you can, and that works. It'll flow through it. You might have to clean it out a little bit sooner. But yeah, and I think the mixes are going to be becoming more prevalent, finding the right balance of CBD versus THC. And
1-to-1 is my favorite combo.
Yeah, I got some of those right now.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, the price point is really competitive. I like where you're at with that, but some people are going to look at a $4,500 knockbox and want to go with that, and pretty much everyone who does regrets it. So with that in mind, is there opportunities to lease, or is it buy only? I mean, there's lease companies that they can utilize, obviously. Are you finding it difficult with that price point? Since it's not a teeny tabletop where you need 17 people to produce what this probably can by itself. Are you still running up against that, or are we finally normalized in the industry where a $200,000-$300,000 machine isn't giving somebody a stroke?
It's all the banks, right? Like nobody can get a loan to run their company as if any other company runs. So it's 6 months ROI is outstanding if you look at any other industry. But in this industry, it's harder for people to crunch that. I have been working with some lending companies that will do the lease option. And I think that in the future, like the lease to own model it'll be something, especially for the littler guys that are trying to get up, get and play with the big dogs. So, yeah.
Okay. Is there anything that I left out? Anything that you want to talk about? Any questions from the audience?
Yeah. So I guess kind of one of the side products of using true raw materials is the sustainability aspect of it. And this kind of came up after I was developing, and I found out that, cones are actually hand rolled overseas and then shipped across, in these big airy containers. And that kind of struck a core with me, like that is just not a sustainable way to run a supply chain. From the money side, it's not a steady supply chain. You've seen there's been shortages of cones all over the place. So, get it down to something like this that can replace, a whole pallet of cones, and I can air freight that super easy. That's one of the most exciting things for me, is just kind of getting people back to true raw materials, and a lot cheaper too. Like it's you get like a 80% reduction in your raw materials cost just like that. So,
and it's funny because I get calls all the time, people wanting paper or to make a machine that makes cones, so you don't have to do that. So better product all the while. So where can people find you at? We're going to put some show notes and links in the description. Are you on social media, website? How can people get a hold of you if they're interested in this product? You sell internationally, right? So there's no limitations.
Yeah, we're open to international sales. And yeah, just our website, we've got a contact form there. It's RollPros.com. We are on Instagram too. It's just RollPros. Feel free to reach out. And, if you're in the greater Pacific Northwest, so we're located in Vancouver, Washington, just outside of Portland. So if you want a demo or anything like that, just swing on by or, hit me up. And I'd love to show you the machine.
Yeah, we'll have Kyle's information in the show notes in the description, like I mentioned, so you can contact him. So I want to thank Kyle. He's the inventor and founder of RollPros, the world's first commercial automated joint rolling machine. Happy to introduce that and excited to test that out as well. So you're gonna have to come back to that B-roll. With that, I think we're gonna roll this one up. I want to thank my guest, Kyle, founder, CEO, inventor of RollPros. I'm Josh Kincaid. This is The Talking Hedge. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, or don't, and I'm out.
Don't forget to smash that like button on your way out and check out these other videos that we've got.
Hello, hemp friends. This is your host, Morris, from Volume Up, the Let's Talk Hemp podcast, where we explore and discuss all things hemp all the time. From industrial to nutritional to therapeutic to lifestyle, hemp has a place and a home pretty much everywhere. Download episodes now of the Let's Talk Hemp podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. Come get loud with me on Volume Up as we take industrial hemp to a whole new level in 2022 and beyond.